Paul Mullen here at Pace with Garrett365 with Delegate Wendell Beitzel. Pace reception and breakfast, Wendell. How do you think it went?
It went real well, Paul, and good to see you down here. Thank you for coming down here and trying to convey some of the news from down here back to the folks in Western Maryland. So the breakfast this morning was really exciting. It was really exciting to have our new governor here. He came to our first Pace reception. As you know, he just took office on Wednesday, and then yesterday he dug right in, and within one day he has to submit a budget for the upcoming fiscal 2016 fiscal year. And he rolled that budget out, and he made an announcement that was kind of astonishing, that in my very first budget, I'm eliminating the structural deficit. And that's going to take some doings, and we don't know exactly what all the details are yet. But he even called us in on the first day, all of us, the Republican caucus, and briefed us on the budget and what he wants to do. And there's there's some really tough things in there that we're going to have to deal with, but I think he's going to get the state back on the fiscal track.
Are there going to be spending cuts, or are there going to be budget cuts? You know, there's a difference there, and I think it's a critical difference.
That is a very critical difference in what's been happening over the past several years or past decade, is that the spending has been underestimated and revenue has been overestimated, and that's leading to these structural deficits. So we have to bring spending in line with the revenues, and the governor's budget, as he laid out to us, does that. And I think as our households are, as our families are, as everyone's checkbooks are, that we have to balance those things, and we have to bring the fiscal priorities back into the state where spending is not greater than the revenues that we're taking in.
Every governor gets a honeymoon. He's spending part of his honeymoon on this. Does that make the honeymoon longer or shorter in your view?
Well, you know, the governor rolled out a very good message on his inaugural speech. He says, you know, when the elections are over, now let's get down to work to do the business of the state. I think he's made a really sincere effort to reach out to everyone, both parties, to try to work together to solve the problems of the state. And I think he's putting people first. And so in putting people first, we have to have an economy that creates jobs, you know, and provides opportunities for people to work. And also we have to remember, and he's put a great priority on education. And of course, education, I know from my own experience that education is very important in what you're able to accomplish in life. And so we have to provide for good education for our people, but just throwing money at it isn't always necessarily the answer. And so we have to put priorities in place so that our kids are getting a good, strong education that they can then achieve and have success and be able to earn a good living, whether they're able to stay in Western Maryland or not. If they go forward, they'll be able to be successful no matter where they go.
I know our delegation's going to get along with him because you all are from the same party, but it's interesting to me to see the dynamic between the comptroller of the state and the governor of the state being from opposite parties. They seem to be on the same page from day one.
You know, there seems to be a real connection there. There was a disconnection between the former governor and the controller. They were at odds many times on the Board of Public Works. Obviously, the governor and the controller and the state treasurer are the three members of the Board of Public Works, and they make decisions that are vital to some of the things that happen in the state, and particularly spending in the state, and setting priorities on different projects that are vital for the state. And it appears right from the outset that the governor and the controller are going to have a much better relationship than which has existed between the past governor and the controller.
And one last question, fracking. It looks like there's a better chance for fracking sooner under the new governor than under the old governor.
Well, we're looking at the regulations. There was, under the old governor, there was a Marcellus Shale Commission. And, you know, fortunately, we had some representatives from Western Maryland on that. Senator Edwards and Commissioner Valentine were on that, and our previous county commissioner in Garrett County, Jim Raley, served on that. I attended most of those meetings, and there was those that don't want anything, and there are those who want to move forward. Obviously, we recognize that there needs to be regulation on this activity. The state of Maryland has a strong regulatory climate, and perhaps too strong in some areas. And one of the things that we're really concerned about, and we're looking at the regulations that have been proposed by the former governor, we're asking those be put on hold. Governor Hogan has indicated that he's going to ask those be put on hold so his administration has time to look at them. It is my perception that if those regulations would proceed the way they are now, it's basically would preclude probably any company wanting to come to Maryland to drill. And so we need regulations. We need to control. Obviously, we want to make sure that we minimize the risk if and when drilling does occur, but it has to be, those regulations have to be adopted in a fashion that it will regulate the industry, but not be so restrictive that they won't even have a desire to come to Maryland.
Delegate Wendell Beitzel. Paul Mullen here for Garrett365 at Pace.